Hello guys and girls, it's Aaron Lee here, and I'm doing Batman Arkham Origins previews with two articles from previews. It'll probably be one video I'll be doing. And the first preview is called Batman Arkham Origins, Who Needs Next Gen? Warner Bros. Montreal sets itself up to prove the naysayers wrong, and how Blackgate is continuing the Arkham legacy. Posted September 8th. And it has 8 comments in it. By Simon Miller at Simon Miller 316 on September 8th, 2013 at 12 p.m. While it may not be as a widespread as some may think the word worry has been thrown around a fair bit where Batman Arkham Origins is concerned. But it because Warner Brothers Montreal are taking over the series from the frightful, talented Rock Steady. Due to the inclusion of multiplayer, which is far better than some are still giving it credit for. There's a fear that the lofty heights of before cannot possibly be reached. It's because change can be an intimidating factor when it comes to development, ranging from a switch in studio to huge success, skewing what a sequel could and should be. Many often cite Metal Gear Solid 2 as a game that was given way too much creative freedom, and even the upcoming Dragon Age Inquisition has come mopping their brows, given how they felt about Dragon Age 2. There's logic to such apprehension, but none of it should carry over to Batman. I'll be honest, I don't think we thought about the shift that much, to the point we got paralyzed because we didn't think it'd be healthy, creative, director Eric Holmes recently told videogamer.com, the thing that drives us through any concerns is that we have a lot of enthusiasm. Batman as a character, the test of time is there. Superman is 75 years this year, right? Batman is a year behind. There are so many incarnations of this character, and so many ways to realize it. It's a very well-defined persona but there's many ways to portray him. So just the enthusiasm we've had to tell our story. To add that on top of all that's already really great has carried us through any concerns. And it's not constructive to worry about it in that way. It's a confident stance, and one that's currently more than backed up by Origins itself. Clearly made much like Rocksteady by people who love the character. It's all been thought out to ensure it evokes elements that Batman fans would instantly pick up on, or at least debate about. It's arguably a reason for Gotham being blanketed in snow. Things change. The reality is, Arkham Origins is shaping up to be a fitting end to a trilogy that, to many, matches what has recently been achieved on the big screen. Meaning movie theater. Although this builds on the excellent foundations already put in place. It's the extra touches such as the martial artist who can stand somewhat toe to toe with Batman, or the new detective mode that not only gives Origins its own identity, but separates it just enough from its predecessors. This couldn't be more apparent when Montreal recently showed off yet more snippets for its upcoming game, alongside revealing another enemy, Firefly, and going into more detail about the shock glove and remote bat claw. But Batclaw, it was seeing how the setting had been enhanced that truly shines, complete with a strong idea of how the world will operate compared to Arkham City. It's been expanded to some degree, and new areas such as Pioneer's Bridge are delightful to behold. Should you be firmly within the Caped Crusader Club, CLUB. It's a prevalent theme throughout Origins, playing up to Batman loyalists while underlining what makes the Dark Knight who he is. It's the difference between persona and features. Holmes continues. One of the things that excites people from the prequel side is we take him in a much more raw and unformed state, and we start to form him. We know where he ends up. If we were doing a straight sequel to Arkham City, for example, we know exactly where we'd start off. It's Batman. He's exactly him. In a way, he's trapped by that. It's kind of like The Simpsons. Laughs. It's kind of like The Simpsons. Yeah. Right. He has to reset every so often. You can do big changes, but to some degree, because he's Batman. You can go to a different place, or you can kill a character, or you can add an ally. Change who Robin is. Regardless, there's a core to that character that's very true. That's a genuine appeal with Origins. Much in the same way it was when Christopher Nolan rebooted the franchise with Batman Begins. Holmes happily accepts nods to year one, as did the movie, showing Bruce Wayne's transformation into the iconic character. How exactly Warner Brothers will make that their own over a 20-hour narrative is unknown. I'd imagine some sort of scarecrow / asylum inspired section is on the cards to appease expectation, but seeing relationships form between Batman and James Gordon, or his early encounters with the Joker, should be among the highs of the entire series, if executed well. It's one of Warner's tick boxes too. Well aware of the upshots of having a Batman who isn't fully formed is an opportunity to give him a story and introduce Rocksteady's version of the character, even though we already how he ends up. We already know how he ends up. It's a parallel that. Interestingly, Holmes draws with Indiana Jones. One simple example should be Indiana Jones and the Last crusade. How important that first 15 minutes are when he goes to get the cross of Coronado. You see him get the weapon. You see him get the hat. You see him with snakes. You see him use the whip to defend himself. You see his relationship with his dad. You see how he really develops a fixation on this archaeological item. We didn't use that to build our game, but it's a very satisfying sequence. You get this moment of oh, I see why that's like this. I think that particular moment dawning on you as to why things are the way they are. At first, like with Gordon and Batman are not friends, but you know, it doesn't end there. You know, that's not the ending of the story. It's fascinating because you fixate on it, and then see all the pieces connect and click into place, and it's satisfying to see that it got there, and you're glad. And you're glad. It shouldn't be too out of left field for some to label Origins as City 1.5. Even though in my mind that's still a huge compliment. The previous Batman remains a pillar of this generation, and the change to experience more of it. Just with a cast of new enemies. If you were to look at it in that fashion, is one I'd personally grasp with both hands. Only the final game will serve as evidence if Warner Brothers Montreal has been successful in carrying their franchise on. But there's nothing I've seen or played so far to suggest otherwise. Even the DLC extras featuring Deathstroke have a certain merit to them. Opening up at a 1 to 100 challenge room, which is self-explanatory. Really, the Terminator moves far slower than Batman. His maneuvers are more methodical and direct, as they should be, given his stance towards murder. Combat has always been the jewel in the crown of the entire Arkham franchise, a model that actively should be borrowed/stolen by other developers, such is its satisfying nature. It's different with Origins, as Montreal has been given the assets and foundations already and told to work within and where necessary, improve them. While the fundamentals stay the same. Slight changes to the speed and the addition of extra encounter animations means it does feel fresh. It may be the system's third go-around, but it hasn't run out of steam. That was always going to be a challenge. Any new developer taking on a project from someone else would have tried to live up to the success of Rocksteady's games by iterating on exactly the same formula rather than, say, Splinter Cell Blacklist, which arguably look to games like the Arkham for inspiration. Warner Brothers' job is to iterate and continue work that's already won plaudits. It's like any highly reviewed games, Holmes says. People look at them and look to them, and to some degree, they'll judge different parts of different games on what the high watermark is. Like Half-Life 2. For so long, that has been the gold standard in partner AI, and people will talk about other partner AI compared to Alex Vance. We've directly been looking at everything we do against City because that was the last game. I don't know if we look at the same games as everyone else, as they're probably looking at those games going, well, that maybe had something interesting. Can we look at it? Whereas we are following it, using that code base and building on top of it. So there may be a few things that we take for granted a little bit, like the free flow combat. We did have to build that. So we did have to build things as good as that and that work with it. With Rocksteady seemingly working on a next generation of Batman Origins should serve as a wrapping of a trilogy that's taken a run of games out of the Dark Ages and into a world where you don't have to feel ashamed that you spent $49 $50 on Batman Begins for the GameCube. It's a British website, so yeah. It may not appear as if much has changed, but a combination of interesting ideas, a great premise, and rest of polish make it a worthy and significant send-off. This may or may not have happened. And the picture says right here. Up next, how Blackgate does the Arkham City series proud. There we go. Batman Arkham Origins. Blackgate hands-on portable excellence. Batman Returns to handheld is a thing of beauty. I read this. I might have read this though. By Simon Miller at Simon Miller, 316, on September 8th, 2013 at 12 p.m. Aside from Batman on the Game Boy and a few other gens, there haven't been many happy stories to tell when it comes to DC creation and handheld devices. Most of the time, http www.youtube.com/watch?v capital W lowercase w uppercase x lowercase d b uppercase z v q lowercase a uppercase q e. You received pap like this. It was easy to get away with too, because the console offerings were not better either. For every Batman Returns, there was Batman Forever again. There's no longer an excuse, given how the Arkham series of games have been received. Second best no longer cuts it. This very reason why amateur studio has a lofty bar to aim for, and why it's even more pleasing, and it seems like it's clearing it. Not much has made of Blackgate and how it ties into the franchise's ideals and systems, but it takes little less than a few moments with it to understand how it's all been put together, keeping Batman locked to a 2D plane, while allowing both his setting and foes to operate in 3D, gives it a wonderful sense of scope. It is opening necessary to bring across free-flow combat, operating exactly as it does on consoles. Slow and well-timed button presses, activating attacks, counters, and charging. It's as satisfying here as it has been previously, potentially made even more entertaining by its simple structure. You still have to find your own rhythm, and countering remains as intuitive as before. And having foes come at you from all angles as you remain somewhat restricted gives the mechanic an only nice twist. Everything you'd imagine has made the jump across too, from grappling platforms to detective mode. Naturally, they've been scaled down to suit the format it's being presented on. So the fact it all works and makes many of Arkham's features its own just puts Blackgate in a position of sheer power. The only real difference is the settings you'll find yourself in. For the purpose of its most recent showcase, Bats found himself in what I'd describe as an abandoned warehouse. Activities range from scurrying around to beating up thugs. The true joy was the Metroidvania nature of it. Levels aren't a point A to point B affair. having to be explored and backtracked to get where you ultimately need to go. A lot of this ties into the detective side of things, touching the screen to highlight abnormalities or exploits that the Dark Knight can use to his advantage. It's a touch slower than Origins, but it's all the better for it as it gives Blackgate its own identity. Such exploration naturally accumulates in a prison yard boss fight with Bronze Tiger, organized by the Penguin. It resembles a cross between a side-scrolling beat-em-up, which goes for the game on the whole, really, in a puzzler. Tiger's attacks have a pattern that needs to be worked out, often asking Batman to dodge before unleashing hell. So again, it's to the point, but it works. Whatever Blackgate throws at you, the sense of reward is always there. Feeling very much like a souped-up Batman Returns, which was excellent, but with far more bells and whistles to brag about. Blackgate will easily sit alongside Origins as a slice of gaming you ought to pick up, should you be sold on the character. And the comment is by MJTH in capital letters. I've had an eye on this game ever since Amateur Studio was announced as a developer. They are partially comprise ex-Retro Studios guys, so they should be right up to the task of making a Metroidvania type game. Posted 10/18 on 09 September 2013. Let me go back now. Yep. And the first one is Playtune Games. There's almost no need to say that it's the best superhero game ever of all time. The next comment is from Vale Underline Slinovoy at Andy Rue 1990. Yeah, you don't seem to have fully understood my comment. Then the first comment was posted 13/10 on 13 September 2013. And the next one was lamenting the fact that she won't be involved due to the setting. Posted 12/26 on 13 September 2013. And then Andy Rue 190 replies, Harley isn't in Origins. Why would she be? This is the first appearance of Joker. Harley doesn't come in until a few years after Joker. And then he replies again. This Val guy. In the Amazing Spider-Man game, there is a moment where Spidey is hunting a man/rat hybrid. His handler mishears him and says, Batman, to switch Spider-Man, replies, no Ratman. A Batman would be ridiculous. This line stands out to me because the game aped so much from the Arkham series. The combat, the way upgrades work, and to a certain extent, it's more stealthy moments. It even has something akin to the Riddler's riddles, where Spider-Man is sent to investigate a small area of the map and has to make photos of certain things using clues. The point is, because of all this, it actually was a pretty good, fun game. Certainly more so than the previous Spider-Man game I played. If a developer can craft such a fun experience with cheap imitations of Arkham mechanics, I have absolutely no doubt that Warner Brothers Montreal can do a terrific job with the actual code to build on. The only area in which Origins is sure to disappoint me is that Harley had a hot new outfit in the previous games, and because of the setting, probably won't get a third. That wouldn't be so bad if she is put in the game anyway. It's just with nothing to wear. But I can't see that happening either. At any rate, I'm really excited for this. Posted 14/24 on 09 September 2013. Grammartron says, proper excited about this, even after rinsing out the first two games. Great to hear someone raving about it too. I thought it looked great for months, but there still seems to be an air of series fatigue in people's minds. Forget that. It's Batman. Posted 11/47 on 09 September 2013. Cam Sage says, I am looking forward to it. I was never really a Batman fan till I played Arkham Asylum, and the darker and deeper tone that the Batman I grew up with wearing this is more of the same with improvements and even risks is what makes great series even greater. Posted at 0021 on 09 September 2013. The guy who wrote this, Simon Miller, says, it's an awesome game. No shame in shouting about it. Posted 15/51 on 8/08 September 2013. And Disney Phyllis says, the spammer below got one thing right. If Simon had just typed, love the article, would have read identically. Like a lot of hearts. They show a lot of hearts in this article. Posted 15/21 on 08 September 2013. Alright, now the final one. Is Batman Arkham Origins multiplayer hands-on better than you imagined? The Arkham series may not have needed multiplayer, but there's every chance it's going to be much better off with it. Posted July 31st. And it has 8 comments on it too. By Simon Milner. At Simon Miller 316 on July 31st, 2013 at 2 p.m. Batman Arkham Origins has multiplayer. Taking that sentence on its own merits shouldn't really be a big deal or that surprising given the video game world we now live in. But these words were enough to send many fans into disarray with information leaked out earlier this year. To be fair, it's not as if fears about a well-received franchise receiving tack-on additions don't carry some weight. In a quest to maximize longevity, multiplayer is often introduced to avoid trade-ins. Just blame it all on Call of Duty. It's a little different where Batman is concerned, though. After years of being force-fed barrels of crap, what hell was rays of sin to sue? We're now living in an era where the Dark Knight is a constant success in nearly all forms of media. The games, as we know, are great. The greatest run films were excellent. The comics are barely putting a foot wrong. DC's brand is arguably stronger than it ever has been. It's natural there are fears that a new studio at Warner Bros. Montreal and the introduction of a multiplayer element. A fair few don't like the series needs are going to be its undoing. To put all your worries to rest now. It won't. And here's a little link that says developed by Splash Damage, of all people. I probably read this article though already. Yeah. Alright. I'm not gonna read that link though. Origins multiplayer is one of the most promising additions to the established template I can remember for quite some time. Resembling Splinter Cell's Spies vs. Mercs just a tad. The first mode, which has been unveiled, Invisible Predator, is broken down into 3 teams. The Joker gang, the Bane gang, and the Heroes. While the former 2 are made up of 3 random thugs, the latter consists of Batman and that a-hole Robin. It says the asshole Robin. Word. As those representing the villains fight for Gotham in a turf war. Both teams have a specific number of reinforcements, spawns that will result in a loss if they're all depleted, along with terminals that can be hacked and then maintained for the win. The Caped Crusader and his loser sidekick are simultaneously trying to fill their intimidation bar. I guess this guy doesn't like Robin for some reason. If they do so, fear strikes into their enemies' hearts, and the criminals run off into the night. Although that may sound a little ridiculous on paper, in practice it has the makings of an excellent 3-way dance. Batman and Robin increase this meter by acting in the same way as they do in the single-player campaign, striking from the shadows, but targeting specific individuals. One of the gang's captains, for example, will fill this gauge up quicker. This line of attack makes sense to as just like it should be. Just like it should be. Both are bound by Bruce Wayne's one rule. They can't kill. To keep things balanced, this means Batman and his whiny friend can use the array of gadgets that have been introduced in the past, as well as taking advantage of crates and high spots through the use of the grappling hook to keep out the way of would-be foes. Controversially, those who have no such moral compassion lack the ability to use all areas of the map, but do, rather importantly, carry weapons. This, of course, raises the rather difficult issue of introducing third-person shooter controls into an area that's never toyed with them before. Currently, they're descent and don't feel too out of place, but it's certainly an area that may need some tweaking before release. Largely, though, as it would seem, anyway, this is why multiplayer specialists splash damage have been brought into the mix. Known for playing their trade in the online space. He forgot to put A in playing. He got a typo. He spelled playing wrong. He forgot A. To trade in an online space. The creators of Brink have been recruited. Playing, I don't know. Recruited for two specific purposes. The first, as just mentioned, is to bring experience to aspects of the Arkham titles that have never been touched on previously. The second is to ensure no resources are taken away from the single-player game, which Warner Brothers Montreal taking on the difficult task of replicating Rocksteady's critically acclaimed work, and even with all the tools and resources, it's not as if anyone can ensure they'll produce the same magic. The decision was made to make the multiplayer side of the next Batman its own entity, even if it comes on the same disc. Splash damage's influence is also why you'd imagine more unique elements have come into play. The dynamic duo have access to detective vision as a per usual, giving them a constant X-ray outline of the map and its participants. To ensure this can be encountered, though their rivals have the same setup, albeit a slightly counterfeit system that works off a battery. Not only does this mean gang members using it have to allow it to recharge. If it depletes insanely fast, but it also introduces Origin's most interesting online mechanic. Many multiplayer experiences cater for running around like a maniac, not worrying too much about the surroundings unless you're the presence of a threat, given that two targets are superheroes. However, renders that line of approach useless. Using your magic vision allows you to cover all bases, but when it runs out, even stepping over a grate without checking it first could be suicide. Neither Batman or Robin can form a silent takedown if they're been spotted, giving all the inclination you need to be smart. Slow, and if you can believe it, use some sort of tactical thinking. That idea extends further as well, especially where our terminals are concerned. Capture one and the enemy team loses a reinforcement. Capture all that are present on the map. In this case, 3 in Blackwater Prison, and they start to lose their reinforcements every 30 seconds. In short, if you only concentrate on cold-blooded killing, there's a very strong chance you'll put yourself in a very precarious position. In many ways, it all sounds like Origins has maintained its serious nature, and while that's true, the fact you're fighting it out, in Gotham hasn't been forgotten. Any given moment, the Joker or Bane will decide they want in to have their physical say on no proceedings. Sticking to schoolyard rules. Whoever gets there first wins. A door will be highlighted on screen. Who enters all depends on which gang claims victory in the race. Not only does it make for some ridiculous moments as everyone stops what they're doing as soon as it's announced, but having one of Batman's most iconic enemies enter the fray is just exceptionally entertaining. It's also a joy that a player then gets to control either the Joker or Bane, depending on gang allegiance. They only get one life, but their increased strength and how they tie into the lore. If Bane captures Batman, he'll break his back. It's just added fan service that complements matters wonderfully. As is the way in 2013, loadouts and customizations are rife from both a visual and gameplay perspective, and it will give anyone who invests reasons to keep plowing through it. there's pleasant splashes as well, such as getting a reinforcement back if you manage to kill a hero. Think dodgeball. Think dodgeball. The real key elements, mind, could be what else splash damage intends to offer. The only mode on show was the one above, and while the developer refused to answer if more would become available, it would be a missed opportunity if this was the case. Even a Left 4 Dead type idea, where Batman simply has to get from point A to point B, avoiding player-controlled guards. That would be an interesting twist on the formula. If there's an entire studio working on it, one choice would not be enough. On top of this, there's a question of in-game purchases. Nothing was announced or mentioned during the reveal. That there were many menu options, such as Arkham credits, store and consumables, which seemed to hint that there may be discretionary costs associated with some elements of the mode. As ever, it all depends on what this consists of. Blackwater Prison was the only map we were treated to. And while well put together, it very much felt like it was stripped from a portion of Arkham City's environment. No one is going to have a smile etched on their face if you have to pay for more. There's still a touch of work needed too. When it comes to the concepts, core and armed combat in general, because to be blunt, it's just not as fun when you're not in control of Batman. That, however, is always going to be a touch hurdle to get over. Mostly because that's the case with life in general. If you're given the choice of wearing the cowl or not, you always plump for the former. Given what Batman Arkham Origins multiplayer could have been, I'm almost finished. Could have been. I would have topped up myself if they had gone down the standard deathmatch path. This is a welcome surprise, and though it does run the risk of being slightly too complicated, for some, it's still potentially very good indeed. This is not true. Dio Godnesto at Clock Punk says, for what I've read, at the end of every round, there's a lottery to see which players get to play as Batman and Robin, and you are free to participate. Posted 1844, 31 July 2013. Next is TVR77 at Tim Bob. Says, yes, I agree. It does look the same. Great Rocksteady formula. I was only concerned because I thought Rocksteady did a superb job with the two Arkham games, and anyone else making a game would change too much and put their own stamp all over it. But from what we can see, that's not been the case here. Why fix it if it's not broken? Posted 1559 on 31 July 2013. Tim Bob at TVR77 says, at the end of the day, this game looks incredibly similar to the last iteration. It's not like Warner are trying anything weird. They are keeping Rocksteady's winning formula. Tim Bob says, I'm so glad they have a studio for multiplayer, as this game is essentially a single-player game, and with two studios, it seems we are going to get a good single-player experience. Bravo, Batman, bravo. Posted 1534 on 31 July 2013. TVR 77 at Clockpunk says, maybe that's your subconscious telling you Rocksteady are not at the helm. I know I was unsure when I heard that news. Although from the little I've seen, it's not looking too bad so far, but like you, GTA 5 is taking up most of my attention at the moment. Posted 1517 on 31 July 2013. Clockpunk says, for some reason, I'm not feeling anywhere near as hyped for this as I was the previous two games that will probably change once I have a copy in hand. Given that most of my gaming anticipation is focused on GTA 5, but nevertheless, cheers for the overview. It sounds like it should be an interesting addition to the roster, although I do hope team selection is balanced so that everyone gets equal opportunity to play the caped heroes. Smile. I posted 1434 on 31 July 2013. Simon Miller, and then next is Simon Miller at Clockpunk. Says, smart move. Dude, I was the same. Though, and honestly, I really enjoyed myself with this. The SP is excellent, too. Posted 1419 on 31 July 2013. And the last comment, and the end of my video, Clockbook, says my initial skepticism is being tempered by the successful and fun implementation of multiplayer modes in both the Assassin's Creed and Mass Effect series. Shall give it a fair chance. Posted 14 11 on 31 July 2013. Alright, guys. I hope you enjoyed that very long video I did. Sorry I made it too long. I like to read these articles too long. I'm a talkative kind of guy. I hope you will enjoy this video. I gotta go now, so please rate, comment, like, and favorites, subscribe, view, opinions, and thoughts. I hope you liked it and enjoyed it for your viewing pleasure. And it helps a ton if you add the favorites and hit the like button. Alright. I hope you like Batman. Alright, bye.